Chair Shot Reality, the Rev Vernell Hunt, Justin LaBar, as we are in the midst of a historic week with WWE coming off the brand extension, the draft that took place this past Tuesday, and then this Sunday it is Battleground, the last pay-per-view kind of really before this brand extension truly takes effect, Rev. And let's talk about this draft. I mean, approximately, I guess maybe like 60 names probably.
We had a lot.
It was
a lot.
It spilled over on the WWE Network. Give me your initial reaction to how the roster shape out.
I honestly felt like the initial reaction to me in a certain way was an upset. The reason why it's an upset because you have a high expectation for what's going on. The product of the draft, phenomenal. What they're doing commercials and everything else, phenomenal. But how you handle the draft, how you have superstars coming, what you expect to happen. You know, a lot of people are saying that, oh, they threw the big guns out early. Hold it back. Wait a little bit. Milk it out so now the viewers can enjoy the whole product. Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed by it, Justin.
Who do you think won the draft? I mean, Raw was kind of the overwhelming.
I would probably say Raw. Yeah. I would say Raw.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it was set up on paper Raw was going to win. When you give them more picks off the bat, and I don't agree with it. I understand Raw's longer, but hey, and I agree with this, when they're given an exclusive division of the Cruiserweight division on Raw, that right there can eat up a couple segments, which is almost a full hour. So now, that then leaves 2 hours for Raw, puts it on an even playing field. But nonetheless, Raw certainly has the across-the-board balance. They have the guys who are established. They have some guys that have been around for 2 or 3 years. They have some new faces. That's fine. SmackDown, Raw won the battle. SmackDown might ultimately win the war because you look at SmackDown, it's a wide spectrum. It's either the John Cenas, the Randy Ortons, the Dolph Ziggler's, guys that are very established, and then it's the Baron Corbins and some brand new guys. So what that's going to do, it's going to be a lot of fresh matchups. It's going to be a lot of rubs and credibility going on. It's going to be potentially creating a whole lot more superstars quicker than what they can over on Raw. So, SmackDown did not win on paper, but in 6 months, if we revisit this, or even a year, I think SmackDown's going to be all right.
I say we look at the whole long-term aspect of this. Number one, you don't want just to make a roster for a particular show that's just going to last for maybe 1 month or 2 months, and then you get stale of it. Just like you mentioned, Justin, we're looking at a lot of things, a lot of great matchups that we might have never seen before, except a couple guys, couple girls coming from NXT. We have never seen before. At the end of the day, the key is to have longevity. With every single company that I've wrestled in, every single company that I know any of my other fellows and sisters have wrestled in, it's all about longevity. Don't give them something that might be able to, let's say, die in about the next month. I do feel like SmackDown, at the end of the day, they have a longer, a broader aspect to look at. A lot of guys that you can match up. You can go different ways, different storylines with them. I do think at the end of the day, SmackDown, looking at a storyline aspect of it and longevity, SmackDown might get it.
Well, I'll say this. It's certainly the draft did at least accomplish a new era feel, in my opinion, because when you have Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Finn Balor, Charlotte, and one or two other people all drafted, Roman Reigns as well, drafted before Brock Lesnar or John Cena. That's not to say John Cena and Brock Lesnar are leaving tomorrow, but it lets you know that they are certainly putting a focus on guys who are going to be around for the next 10 years as opposed to, however long.
You know, in the words of one great man, I wouldn't even say a great man. We're kind of looking WWE. Some people think it's great. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, well, they're going to try to make WWE great again, I suppose.
We'll see, man.
Well, and one thing I'll address real quick, and I wrote about it for the Pittsburgh Trib before we go to Mr. Eisenberg, who's on, Fiesta. People were upset. 6 NXT talents drafted. Finn Balor went off with a great response. A lot of people upset Mojo Rawley, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, that they got the call rather than Bayley, Samoa Joe, Nakamura. And all I can say is, guys, NXT is not just developmental. There is part of NXT that's developmental with the Performance Center and with the non-televised NXT shows that go around Key Largo, Florida, and blah, blah, blah. But then there is the money-making part of NXT that is a touring, ticket-selling, merchandise-selling brand. Yeah. It has become a third brand, which means you cannot pillage the entire roster. If they would have drafted Samoa Joe, Nakamura, and Bayley, well, guess what? That then leaves Mojo Rawley to have to be carrying a
that lasts that long, just to say the least.
You just have to understand that you cannot pillage an entire roster. If NXT was FCW, the old developmental where there really was no TV, yes, you always take the next best talent,
Take the
next
cream of
man
the
up.
crop.
But it's not like that. NXT is a third brand. You have to treat it with certain
Don't
respect.
be selfish. That's the thing. Don't be selfish. A lot of things are doing. Trust and believe that the people that have been doing this for years, that are getting major, major bucks, that the majority of us will never see in our lifetime, are doing the right thing, and they have the whole playing field lined up, Justin.
Well, major bucks. I mean, we're still. I'm always the one here working, and he's off. He's off in the sunshine chasing Lord knows who. Josh, what is your reaction to the WWE Draft? And take it and close it out for us.
You see it, I see it. You're not here, but I am in here. Paradise, Florida, one of my favorite locations of all time. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys holding it down at the Squirrel Hill Sports Bar. I will see you there next week. But the big story this week was the WWE Draft, Tuesday night, live on the USA Network. And what did you take out of this? If you did not read my article on WrestleZone.com, you didn't hear or didn't read the fact that I actually liked what SmackDown did. SmackDown is a newish show on Tuesday nights live. They went from Friday to Thursday to Thursday to Friday, and now live on Tuesday nights. And I think it's a great thing for WWE. I think you put John Cena, Randy Orton, two established guys on that roster who have main evented multiple WrestleManias to carry that brand. You add guys like AJ Styles, who has not gotten to the cusp of his career in the WWE. You add a Bray Wyatt, a creative guy, a unique guy, a figure that needs 2 hours of programming in even 2 or 3 segments of that 2-hour show to build around him. Big things are happening for SmackDown, and I love the fact that they put those fresh faces and those new guys on there. I will say the only thing that I really thought was not impressive or didn't make any sense, well, 2 things. Carmella, why isn't she with Enzo and Cass? That makes no sense to me. And the second part, why would you make Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson on Raw whenever you have their boy AJ Styles on SmackDown? Doesn't make sense to me unless they're going to do the Balor Club. And speaking of the Balor Club, how great and how important does Finn Balor feel now? A top 5 pick on Raw, a guy that you're going to build so much marketability and creativity and uniqueness and storylines and depth. This guy has always been a fan favorite of mine, and I love the fact that they're going to let him thrive on Raw. I also think that whenever you look at the Raw roster, you see Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, 2 guys that you know what you're going to get from them, but you have the architect, Seth Rollins, the man, the guy, whatever you want to call him. He is the best thing WWE has had since CM Punk, and you need him to be on that Raw roster. My biggest surprises and my biggest hopes are American Alpha on the SmackDown brand. Does that mean that we're getting the WWE Tag Team Championships on both shows? If not, why would you put American Alpha on SmackDown and not on Raw, chasing teams like Enzo and Cass, chasing teams like the WWE World Tag Team Champions in the New Day? Justin, I know you do that dance a little bit better. But those are my thoughts on the draft. I like both shows. I get what they did with both shows. I'm excited to see the first live SmackDown because it'll tell you all you need to know. Will John Cena and Randy Orton carry it, or will they finally let some of those young guys come up and take the helm?